Hey guys, AJ back. Of course, you're wondering where I am now. Meanwhile, it's the holy month of Ramadan, right? It's AJ Ahmad Juinor, and I must be an infidel because my hair is to the side, and as you can see, it's daylight, it's sunlight, so it's Ramadan. How's this guy eating? Why is he eating? Oh, welcome to my religion of Islam. So it's not. And should it be your concern if I'm fasting or not? Because last I checked, I'm fasting not for you. I'm doing my fast. If I do fast, it's for the Lord, Allah. And I understand that also I'm on travel, and if I'm on travel, it's permissible for me to break my fast. That's number one. Number two, and this is more controversial, the fact that I do not subscribe to the notion that we are now in March the 3rd. For the record, it is March 4th, actually, Tuesday. It's March 4th at 10:28. And I'm eating because, like I said, the first argument was, my faith, Islam, permits me, allows me to break my fast and deviate from the obligation of fasting because I'm on travel. And I'm from Ottawa. I've been talking about that for in previous videos, and this is not to reintroduce the matter, but interesting why I'm not fasting. It's not because I could still fast if I was on travel. I have the stamina to do so, but I choose not to because I do not subscribe to the innovation in the religion of Islam, because the faith of Islam tells you very clearly how many days a calendar should be, which is the number of days in a month, and the number makes up basically the year, and that's basically how you keep track of the time and track the number of years and how old you are essentially. So the Arabs, they were pre-Islam, they were ignorant of the law and they're ignorant of the reality of things, because they were using the Kaaba as a place for mu'allaqat, and they were basically the Jews of Quraysh, so to speak, right? And that's why you see the same pattern and the blasphemous act of trampling on holy sites, be it Jewish, a Christian or Muslim, doesn't matter. You go back in history and you will understand how the fuckery extends, because it's not just attack against a specific group of people or ethnicity or belief. It's simply like Trump says, good versus evil. I wonder where Trump stands on this fight, good or evil, because last I checked in the Bible, the Constitution and America basically has earned its sovereignty, right? America, the so-called republic, or the maybe used to be a republic, now it's America Corps. Since the Civil War, it has been America Corps. Before that, it was the republics, right? Because you've got Abraham Lincoln assassinated, you had the Revolutionary Wars, and ended 1783, 1784, whatnot. You know your history. Whereas in Canada, we just simply patrioted from the English crown. So there's a lot of tampering of evidence, and the history, the victorious rewrite history, so to speak. But the struggle is one. If you're an indigenous person of any place in this world, be it Palestinian, be it the First Nation, they call you not First Nation because they're catching up on the fact that people, there are 5.8 billion people of faith, of belief, and this is not plausible that a monkey evolves to a human. That's the Darwinist in you. But again, that's your belief, that's fine. That's a secular concept of why we have civil laws in Canada, because Canada allows it to be each to their own. I have the belief that there's a creator, and there are people who disagree, and there are people who agrees with me, and again, each to their own. This is why we're in Canada. And the reason why I came to Canada is simply to pursue a better life. We were under in Syria under al-Assad regime at the time. And look, man, I'm a Palestinian refugee. I was born there. I could not even vote. I could list to vote. I'm not even allowed to vote. It didn't matter what I would say. Anyway, so it's not about voting. You have to understand. It's about speaking your mind. And if you come to the point where society, comes to the point where if you are now not allowed to speak your mind, that's your inalienable natural right. You just section just don't have to go far. Section 1(2) part 1 of the Constitution Act of 1982, and that's when basically Canada, the corporation, perpetuated its parliament from London, England, and in lieu of this kind of federal governance agency body, right? Remember, we were, the allegiance was to the crown as an English colony. Quebec lost. Well, France lost the Battle of Quebec, and that's when the French basically lost the upper hand, so to speak, and you had to submit to the English crown. But they did not forget. But remember, they have the right not to forget because they came here and that's their territories. They lost to the English, and that's how basically Canada in 1867 came to exist. 1867. That's the British North American Act, and you had the first four territories, illegal settlements, so to speak, on Upper Canada, Ontario, Lower Canada, Quebec, and Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Those were the first four, territories, so to speak, and then they became the first provinces. They formed the first provinces and, Dominion, of Canada. And then 1905 Alberta joins, and, previous to that Saskatchewan and, other, anyways, you can look, by 1982, we had patriated our constitution, which essentially just moving Parliament from London, UK, because that satellite remote governance body that does not, have any connection with the people on the land in Canada, and we have entering a new era, civilization, so to speak, civilized world, right? Just around the first industrial revolution, the late 1700s. So this pancake is really good. It's not the the most expensive, but it's just perfect. It tastes good, and I don't care if it's probably some pre-processed God knows what, but it tastes good, and at the end of the day, gratitude. If you eat and you cheat here and there, a meal there and there, it's not the end of the world. But anyways, so yes, back to so the French had lost the war, so to speak, the Battle of Quebec, and that's when they 1784 America came to establish its own sovereignty, independent of the crown, and Canada did not do so. They tried, and there was the FML, some movement, up until 1982 there was separatist, French separatists that they're trying to basically separate from Canada because that's the English crown. And finally, they got the status of a nation, and they submit to the English crown. They got some preferential treatment, but not everybody, just if you're French, right? Then if you live in Quebec, but first you have to be a stooge, French, to be, essentially enjoying the benefit of, the status of nation, and, you have your rights, rights is, the laws for thee, not for me kind of thing, Last I checked, we live in Canada, so, if you are in, Montreal or living in Quebec, anywhere, you're holding a passport of Canada. If you're trying to go to the Bahamas or, the Caribbean or, Mexico, or pick your favorite destination for, for your vacation, right? Pick your favorite destination. So, at the end of the day is this, there was at one point, civil law and the common law, and, over time, we had these civil wars, and the civil wars, and Canada did not have a civil war, because we were part of the English crown already, and in 1867 Canada came to exist, whereas the civil war happened, and we don't have to have a civil war because Quebec already established its own. So Quebec, why do you have to have a civil war? So in America it was a different case, because you had Abraham Lincoln in 1862, and there was a civil war that the Republican wanted to basically what? It's called Republican. They wanted to what? They want to apply the rule of the law, and they want to establish their own free man society, so to speak, right? And Abraham Lincoln was assassinated there on after the Civil War has ended in 1862. Why? You ask yourself, and that's what the history, what people do not want you to know. Well, basically the story goes is he went to the banksters in New York. New York, basically, we all know that's where the Rothschild basically exported their fuckery, essentially, and that's where the banksters in New York, stayed. And they were French. Why French? Because that's where New York is. Because New York, it was a new land. And New York is where essentially your Statue of Liberty, basically stands. It's in the harbor, right, in New York. And, it was the 100-year anniversary. The centennial anniversary for the United States of America independence, and there was a sign, virtue, righteous sign, right? Virtue, of what? Friendship and mutual benefit. MashaAllah. Okay. And the Stooges, that was a Trojan horse. That was basically how they previous to that, they use the same tactics throughout history, and they are no other than the Knight Templars. If you chase their history, if you go back in history, from the Crusades, like the Crusades happened 1092 all the way to 1295, and it was the same Stooges basically, trying to orchestrate and plan wars throughout, the land, so to speak, just so they enforce their, kingdom of Huda. Because remember, King Joseph at the time, he was, the son of Jacob himself, Jacob alayhi salam, which is Yaqub, right? So Jacob had 12 sons, which basically Israel, and basically you have like the Israel of the 12 tribes. So you have Israel and the 12 tribes. Israel is the son, is the father, Israel, and the 12th tribe, his basically offspring, and each offspring, each child had his own tribe, so the 12th tribe, because you just need a man to form your own tribe. Which leads me to my point. So my tribe, basically, a tribe, because you only need a woman with you, and the tribe starts with a man and a woman, and then they cross, and then you get a boy or a girl, a child. And that is just universal everywhere. A man, woman cross, you get a child. I have yet to see a man and a man, or a woman and a woman crossing and getting pregnant. Prove me wrong. It's just unnatural. It doesn't happen in nature. So I'm not here with my own, so to speak, preaching. I don't even practice, man. If you think I'm Muslim, I'm preaching. No, I'm not even preaching to you anything, any religion. You could be go worship the cow. I don't give a shit what you worship. We have to understand, worshipping anything doesn't give you the right to kill an innocent soul and murder someone in the name of God, deity you are worshipping. Be it God, be it cow, be it chair, be it whatever you want. Be it, I don't know, whatever, man. You can worship whatever you want to worship. And the act of worship is the act of devoting yourself to that entity. So you're worshiping the Lord, God, whatever. So you're devoting yourself. You're passionate about your action. So you are doing things, that makes you closer to the Lord, right? So in this case, if you're a person of faith, good faith, that is, I could care what is your belief, because if you're a person of faith, we all have to agree that 5.8 billion people, if they say they are people of faith, they call themselves Muslim, Christian, Jews, doesn't matter what you call yourself, Hindu. Well, 5.8 billion people, at least the top three are, I believe, Christian, Hindus, Muslim, something like that. Anyways, or Hindus, the top three, but 5.8. And then Jewish people as well, our cousins, because Al-Ibriya wal-Arabiya, they are anti-Semitic languages. They are cousins of each other. Right? Except Al-Arabiya is more rich language, as opposed to our cousins Al-Ibriya. Shalom. We say salam. What's better, shalom? Salam. Look, man, it's a preference. It's salam, not shalom. But again, it's a language. I speak Arabic, so that's my indigenous language. And again, I can understand Hebrew. I don't have to speak it to understand it. It's the book. They have the Torah. We have the Quran. The book is saying the same thing. What the Torah says, the Quran says, and so does the Injil. Whatever the Injil says, the Quran is saying yes. Because the Quran itself is not something new. It's Kitab. What's Kitab? The Jews, our cousins, had it first. But it doesn't matter, because the Ilm al-Kitab. If you look at the story of Moses, alayhi salam, Musa, that too, because he went and he saved the Israelites. Remember, he did not save the Israelis. Israel is like a state, it's like a citizenship. But again, back to Solomon, King Solomon. Remember, King Solomon was a righteous man, and who's his father? King David. And when you go back, and you understand your history and who you are. Moses' law, for example, is what they use in the court system, because at the end of the day, they try to justify their civil code with all these 10 commandments. So, they are applying the rule of the law, but in their own version of an interpretation and their own understanding, and hence you have the civil code. So yeah, whereas a common law, so to speak, which is what Canada used to be under the British North American Act, because last I checked it was no other than the king. Like right now we have, like I have a criminal case before the court, lower court, because OPS have unlawfully stopped me, arrested me, assaulted me, prejudice, racial profiling. Perhaps I just know too much, right? Anyways, I have a court, case before the lower, Ottawa Court of Justice, OCJ, which I have, requesting and pleading to basically move the matter before the Superior Court of Justice, because, look, man, the corruption is not difficult to chase or trace. You have the record, you have all the disclosure I have yet to receive. This incident took place on August 24th. We are now March the 4th. Why am I still waiting? It's been like what? My life has been put on hold. You want me to stay in jail until you come up with your scheme as to how to inframe me for allegation that I have not committed? No shit. But yeah, your plan backfired, because the truth always wins. You have to understand that. It's not about my faith. It's about the truth. It's about speaking the truth. And when I speak the truth, I can talk to the cows come home. I don't have to write down. And I emailed you yesterday for a reason. At least now I know you don't accept text. You need a PDF. But I said the gist of what I wanted to send in my PDF application, so to speak. So I will be here. This is why I'm here at the INW meeting. Again, I'm a Muslim, so buzz off. If somebody wants to argue with me the religion of Islam, you can bring your Quran, and I bring my Quran. It's the same Quran at the end of the day. It's the same book, so we can argue that. But this is not about Quran. This is it's not about me. It's about my case, so to speak. And the fact that the Canadian government has unlawfully trampled on my inalienable and natural rights and freedom, which are safeguarded by the Constitution. So, I'm declaring my own, clan, my tribe of Al-Shihabi. And I'm the Amir. I'm the Amir of that tribe. I got my brother, Amir, Sarhan, natural date, birth record, 1990, May 16. My brother Abdul Hamid Sultan with a natural birth record of January the 1st, 1985. Both also have criminal, in the case of Ammar, and the family pending cases before, again, at no other than the lower court in Calgary, so municipal corruption. I have my reason to believe that there's, some ignorance of the law here, because in both cases, both Abdul Hamid and Ammar have been here on a government-sponsored application in one case, and the other one is by wife-to-be. So, and that was and could only be made possible under common law, that the government of Canada has to agree to, that these people were married outside of Canada under something called common law. They were not married under civil law. And you have to understand that when you bring the people here, they have the right. They have their natural right for their own. Like again, that's what the Constitution, right? Section 1(2), right? Natural, any other natural rights and freedom. The freedom for belief, association, and thoughts. They have their own belief system. Like I said, I'm a Muslim. They're a Muslim, but they're fasting. I'm not. Each to their own. And that's why we're in Canada. Right? Everybody has their own. Each to their own, so to speak. Everyone has their own belief system and. But, that does not give you a reason to push with prejudice, right? To just, come at and racial profile, social profile, belief profile, profiling people. Like, why? Because of my hair does not agree with your, version of how Islam should be defined, or how Christianity should be defined, or somehow Judaism. The fact that I dress like perhaps a homeless in your eyes. For somebody else, I dress like I don't know. Go to Africa, see how people dress. Go to India slums and see how people dress, and let me walk through these people, see how people look at me. Again, it's all relative. What you wear, what you dress, and it's at the end of the day, it's who you are, what's your character, and that's why there's a difference. And the laws of the sea, which is maritime law, which is for commerce, right? I mean, back in the days, the Phoenicians, so to speak, the Phoenicians, those people, it's the phoenix, right? So you have like this dragon water, a creature, so to speak, and the legends, and they're wrong. They ruled the sea, because there was such things, and then but you also have what they call the Lianoids or whatever you want to call them. So those people believe that they were they're lions or Eloites or whatever the case may be, right? But truly, we are all lions. At the end of the day, we are lions in human forms, yes, but not to. So you are essentially, being treated by, somebody as an elite and another person as a shit because or scum of the earth because you simply the way you dress. Impartial justice. I mean, I did nothing wrong. If the auto police or the federal, because remember the auto police, they start assaulting you, then it's the crown prosecutor that is pressing the criminal charges. It's not the police. It's the police is just a stooge, witness, or a tool that the crown prosecutor is using essentially to go after people without just cause, because they are coming up with bogus allegation first, second to incarcerate you without a just cause, only to keep you waiting and spinning wheels in the lower court system, because from the police officer to now they're going out to fishing for people like yourself and myself, just based on the look. So the guy here, the executive, he law enforcement, he sees you, he pulls you over. Okay, you're Middle Eastern, he's Middle Eastern. Okay, we're kosher because it's not racial profiling. Okay, no shit, no racial profiling. But what is it called? Social profiling? What is it called? Prejudice? So now, or conspiracy, because now it's misleading justice. So you buy this stooge, you bring him on from work permit. He's from Iraq. He comes here within 9 months. He's a police officer driving Uber. He only had to take maybe a 3 weeks worth of a training boot camp to become authorized and able to operate the vehicle safely, right? Because at the end of the day, remember, all you have to do is operate the vehicle safely. You're not gonna kill somebody. So to drive a fucking car, it does not take a genius. I drove, my father had a car back in Syria. I drove when I was 1990. That would have been 5 years, man. 1990, 7 years max. I was behind the wheels with my dad in my dad's lap. Yes, I could. What the fuck? Natural. Everybody can fucking wheel, and you can't really say, okay, my dad can push the gas. Doesn't matter. So he comes and now he's pulling over. So they got by this executive branch of the government. So that's the lower court and Ottawa police. Ottawa police again is just an arm length of what the Ottawa city, which is nothing but a corporation, right? So they need to keep the peace and blah blah blah. So you have Ottawa city of Ottawa is incorporated. So Ottawa is incorporated as a corporation, which receives funding from where? The provincial government, so to speak, which receives government from what? Federal government. So you have the parent, and then your provincial is what? Provincial is the child, so to speak, and then the kids, the citizen of the land. Basically, I get shit on by some municipal, lower court administrative law, and they have no jurisdiction over you because this is just a city and town and counties. We're not on the province level where they have the constitution because that's constitution. That's the well. Previous to that, the Highway Traffic Act. Sorry. So on a provincial level, you have all these, basically acts of parliament that happens. And then you get, Highway Traffic Act if you're in Ontario, blah blah blah. Alberta has its own, and each province has its own kind of like set of rules of jurisdiction. Basically driver license, and have to have different basically eligibility requirements or qualification to drive. So Ottawa is a G class, for example. Like here in Alberta, they don't have G class, G1, G2, G. They have like class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or something like that. And they start backwards. So the higher the number, like you're still junior, so to speak. It's like go figure. You have to just understand each province's different rules, but it's all similar. It doesn't matter where you stand the car. It's all similar. So yeah, this is I'm just being natural. Like I'm just here for business, and this is going to be uploaded. So I really, this is all. You want to see the victim impact assessment? Well, this is it. Look, I'm a resilient man. I've been here since 25 years ago. I landed in October 26, 1999. So I went to high school, again university, aerospace electronics system design engineering. I have over a decade of startup and industry experience across different market verticals and application domains, ranging from semiconductor, automotive, wireless audio to professional audio, hardware, IoT, medtech, you name it, drones, like different defense, you name it. I also understand the coding language, so to speak. Like it's not a matter of the language, the programming language. It's logic, data structure and logic, and that I can reason with, and I can understand Boolean. It's I had to be an engineer at one point, so electronic system design. I had to work in the industry, and at the end of the day, the way I see law is nothing but a triangle. This is the law. You have federal, provincial, and lower courts, and so long you're spinning in this lower court system, you cannot transcend, or so to speak, go up and get your case and get justice applied. So I was made fugitive because in Ottawa I've been pleading, and in good faith, talking to the Crown Prosecutor, and I even submitted to the Supreme Court of Justice in Ottawa. I have yet to hear any email response. Like, what is this? That tells me that the Ontario government, as well as the Quebec government, they are all complicit. Along with their arms length stooges, like from the Montfort Hospital to the Ministry of Transportation. It's not possible that I go from suddenly able to drive my car to suddenly unable to drive the car simply because of some bogus allegation that I somehow I have some medical condition. What exactly are those medical conditions that prevents me from driving? Safe and responsible. Like, look, I drove from Ottawa. Listen to this. I drove from Ottawa. I've been driving since 2003. That was my first driver license according to my abstract. 2003 May, I believe, May 2003. I've been driving since then. Zero at-fault accidents. Fuck, you have the record. My insurance company can testify. I have zero at-fault accidents. There's not a single claim against me. There's not a single claim against me. I'm driving for 20 plus years. So, and then just because, I'm asserting my national rights and freedom because, I get pulled over without just cause, and then, the officers, unlawfully proceed into, searching me without a search warrant, seize my private property without, seizure order, goes about, robbing me, my ability to basically, go from point A to point B, impound my vehicle. Previously, he had, his word, not mine, that, there was a trust factor here, that I would trust his word, that he told me that we would not be towing your car. So when I come back within 20 minutes and I see the tow truck and the flag is about to take my car, well, that's a breach of trust. Section 122 of the Criminal Code RSC 1985 C46. It's not my code, it's your code. Go learn your own code. Before you come at me trying to apply the law at me, go figure out your own fucking code book, you schmuck. So we have now basically ignorance of the law, Section 19. To basically breach of public trust by public officer, to municipal corruption 123, to just go at it, criminal negligence causing bodily harm. You had no reason. So yes, I speak the way I speak because at the end of the day, there's not enough money that you can give me as Ahmad AJ, right, aka Ahmad Juinor, right, to just kind of get over what you've done to me as a citizen. I came to Canada for what reason? Yeah, but because it's democratic. I'm free to believe what I want to believe. I'm free to think what I want to think. Not so I'm assaulted and apprehended by the same people that I'm entrusting my life with. A breach of trust means breach of contract. So yes, I could care less. So yeah, this is now, Amir AJ versus, King Charles himself, et al. And the Kenyan government. That's it. So I'll be writing my PDF. But this is what goes in my mind before I'm writing my PDF. Why do I have to go through writing you the same email I sent you yesterday, which I understand basically you have received. At least you've received. That's good. And it's just not in your format. So, I sent a bunch of text mumbo jumbo for you. Perhaps you don't understand text. But now you need a PDF. So, okay, I'll give you a PDF. No problem. And then, so you'll receive the application, right? And the court order or the executive order that I'm seeking the court to actually, enforce. Because at the end of the day, Section 11 of the Constitution, right, 1982, pursuant to that, I'm innocent until proven guilty. So there has to be an injunction until we actually go to the court and, hear the facts before the court. Until then, there should be an injunction. So that's what I'm seeking, an injunction for all, allegation, to stand on all allegation until we go through, a fair and public trial. I'm not running from the law. I'm not suggesting that I'm running away from the law. But again, I was made fugitive from my own hometown in Ottawa, a city I grew up in for 25 years, away from my friends, family, and my business network. 3. So what can I do here? I came here for business. Yeah. Well, guess what? I'm here still for business. So this is courtesy of Canada, public trust, because you are in breach of my national rights and freedom. You are in breach of my constitutional right. You are in breach of my indigenous right. You are in breach of the criminal code yourself. So yes, there will be liability and there will be restitution. So the way I see it is this. I will submit the claim today, my civil claim demanding a court hearing within 48 hours. You can do it by Zoom. You know what I mean? In 48 hours is not a long time from now. It's not like it's difficult to get a Zoom link, and then get all parties involved, at least preliminary trial hearing, and then, just, hear the facts, and, I'm ready for trial. You gotta go on, get yourself ready for trial, because you gotta, go now and try to fabricate evidence, because none of the evidence, from August the 24th till now will be used in court, because I will seek under 24, section 24 too. exclusion of evidence, collected unlawfully, obtained unlawfully without, my consent and prior authorization. You had no prior authorization, and you did not have my consent, so it was unlawful. That's as far as I'm concerned. So you cannot use my fingerprints, my blood samples that you took unlawfully while I was at the Montfort Hospital, as well as my medical, so to speak, record, which you fabricated, and I did not consent. You had someone name a doctor. I don't know who she is, Shamsin Ilham. I've never consented to her to being my doctor. I've never seen her in my life as my doctor. And then you are using the wrong address on the file. I have not lived at 78 Finch Private since 2007. When I bought my first house at Uplands, 22 unit 22 3415 Uplands Drive. Yeah, the record is there. I have the tax, bill and everything. Now they're trying to basically come at me and rob me away my primary residence, my home that I bought at age 21. Well, too bad. You cannot, because it's not a mortgage. It's not a mortgage. It's not a security mortgage. It's a home equity line of credit, and that was my primary residence. You cannot come after my primary residence. The house is worth $35,000. You have $35,000. Come buy it. I have $200,000 worth of debt roughly. I'm still net worth positive. I could care less about your health, but you cannot force a sale on me. I did not consent to a sale. If the CIBC, which basically holds the security, wants to get rid of of my home equity line of credit, which is registered against my house, worth $435,000. Why do I say that? Because the same house, I was paying $198 in condo fees in 2007. Last year or last June, we received the condominium, basically the condo board assessment, essentially, that we would be paying $725. 725, 198, that's roughly 7.5%. To be exact, 7.48% year over year. So year over year growth rate of 7.48% applied to $127,500. The purchasing price of my condo in 2007, gets us to $435,000, and that was just last year. So by now it's $450. Okay, $450. How much do I have? $175. Let's call it $200. You still owe me $250. Go take the house, but there are people living in there because now it's been rented and it's being used as to shelter my brother Carl Lagur and his partner, right? So yes, go. If you can kick them out, do so. You are liable, because now last I checked, we have a private contract, myself and my brother Carl Lagur, that he would pay me each month $1,800 in return for an equity in the house over 15 years. That's right, rent to own. But whatever he pays goes towards that, but there's a minimum, and if he doesn't honor that agreement, well, that agreement is void, because again, I told him the first year is probationary period. You gotta pay on time each month. I can trust him enough in my house, because when I was living in that house, it was not habitable, so to speak. And when he came in November, I had just been out from the jail the second time around, September 18th, and I've been living in my house since then, because those were my bail conditions, and the unlawful bail condition that I was released with surety. And nonetheless, the house, I had gone through a renovation, but because my mom had left the house in 2022, I was not living there, so I never finished the renovation that I need to finish. So I go back to the bank CIBC. I know what the house is worth. The house is worth, at the time was, like I said, $435. I emailed my home branch CIBC and requested that I get $20,000 as a credit limit increase. Why? Because at the time I had roughly close to $160,000, which is credit limit for me, and I was seeking $20,000 more. I was living the last 2 years just the same way. I was working part-time, whatever. I was trying to get my hands on in terms of job to support myself, but for the most part I had been living on my credit. Not that I was trying to not work. I had just left my corporate world, career, so to speak, world, and I was making six figures, $125,000 gross as per my last 2021 tax assessment. So I started my own business. I was going through a divorce first time in the first year, 2021 to 2022. 2022, basically, the divorce got finalized. I remember I took the first call doing solar, basically, call solar. My first call was on my birthday, July 27, 2022. And I was in the park, I was with my daughter. I remember that day very clearly. Anyways, then I started my own business, 613 Solar. I started posting on LinkedIn, and before you know it, I went from 0 to 300,000 views, roughly, over the span of 5 months. For the first 5 months, there really was not much views, and then suddenly over 5 months period, well, my posts started, going through the stratosphere, so to speak, and it's like, just a hockey stick. And I got banned from LinkedIn, without just cause, just because I speak my mind again. And then I'm on Twitter right now. Before Twitter got rebranded to X, before you know it, Elon Musk himself is following me. Well, I must know a thing or two about what I'm talking about for all these people to be following me and for me to be banned from LinkedIn. I mean, there are 300,000 people unique views. There were like close to 90,000 people. So I must be saying something, of value for 90,000 people to listen. 90,000 people, and then you have Elon Musk, the same person who's going to, take you to Mars. I don't know, maybe he wants to take you to, Mars factory, so to speak. But I don't know. I defer, and he has his own grandiose ideas, so to speak, and I have my own grandiose ideas. But I don't get, you don't see Elon Musk in the mental institute and the psychiatric ward just because he has a grandiose idea to go into Mars. Whereas I'm an indigenous Palestinian-born refugee. I just so happen to be, a genius at large. I'm an aerospace electronics systems engineer. I finished the degree. I did not work in the industry. Does not mean I cannot utilize the element of critical thinking and basic math and science. 1 + 1 = 2. I mean, Ohm's law is Ohm's law. Whether you're electrical engineer or aerospace electronics, we still study Ohm's law, V = IR. Power equal, IV, voltage times current. It's not difficult. There are things that you just have to go about and just apply yourself to, and the fundamentals are the foundation, the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and that's why I'm here with this video seeking fundamental justice, which is essentially impartial. So we have to look at the case before the court, and look at the evidence before a public trial, a public inquiry. You have all the record about the citizen. If my issue is not with John Smith somewhere else in Dakota or in Africa or across, it's against the Canadian government. I'm a Canadian citizen. My case is against the Canadian government and the crown, because guess what? You are in breach of trust, and you have abuse of power. So the crown, I am a Canadian citizen. Yes, my allegiance was to the queen, not to the king. If he's going to assault me and continue acting in bad faith, the crown is acting in bad faith. So maybe king himself is innocent. That's fine. The king is fine. Come to court, defend your people, defend your system. So that's kind of where I am, and I'm going right now. I was at the Brooks Mosque, community mosque, so I'm here for business. I'm gonna go now to the hotel room, book myself a hotel room, and again in my application, part of my demand is to basically order the immediate and safe and travel and transportation of my two brothers, Amir and Abdul Hamid. I believe they are right now at the Akram Jum'ah Mosque in Calgary, northeast. So they will be, transported, safe and effective, for their safety, So I trust the law enforcement and the executive of the Canadian government to basically, follow and honor my request and my order, my executive order, because at the end of the day, you need something to be done, and I'm following through the process, and I'm entrusting in the judiciary system, the panel of judges, right, and that we would go before a public trial with the jury, but for the time being there had to be an injunction, and I want my brothers to be with me because I'm declaring a state of emergency, and this is kind of a safeguard measures. There's no reason for my brothers to be sleeping at the mosque, community mosque. We have been turned down to have our own rental due to credits check, which again, everybody has a financial trouble, but that's not to say that we are denied basic shelter, basic life necessities, to pursue life and happiness. Again, I'm not fighting based on the validity of the laws. Like I said, I'm not a law-abiding citizen. I had my driver license since May 2003. It just so happened that the law is now trying to infringe and trample on my right as a natural man, a businessman, entrepreneur, and an indigenous person. So, I'm going to stand up and speak. So this is kind of where this lawsuit is, the premise is my natural rights and freedom are being violated, and that includes my, natural rights of belief, freedom of belief, thought, and expression. So some fundamental freedom, that is 1, 2, right? And as a citizen, I trust that justice will prevail, and there will be basically truth and reconciliation. Because if there's no truth and reconciliation, there could not be basically any resolution to the conflict, so to speak. And that's the crux of the matter, So I'll offer you a deal, and good faith, I'm sure you'll agree to it. But if not, then we can always go to option 2. Nobody wants to go to option 2. So wait for the email. Peace.